Namaskar to all traders and welcome. So today in this video we will be making a comparison between the funding pips and the FundedNext PropFirm. The reason behind making this video is, of course, it was highly demanded in our Telegram group and in the YouTube community. However, the main reason is funding pips as well provide no time limit with two-step challenge. They only provide one type of program, that is no time limit two-step challenge program. And in FundedNext as well, they have one model called Stealer model two-step challenge with no time limit. FundedNext have various type of program, but the Stealer model is very similar to the funding pips. So I'm going to make the comparison between the funding pips and the Stealer model of the FundedNext today. I'll just make the side-by-side comparison. Please understand, this is not a sponsored video. I'll be making a completely unbiased comparison. The ultimate decision should be always based on your own opinion and on due diligence. I'm not any kind of financial advisor, and you should not get influence from any influencers or from me as well. I'm just going to make the side-by-side comparison. All right, let's move to the screen and I'll show you some comparison that I have prepared. Okay, so the factor number one, I have considered the factors, various factors, like I do in every comparison videos. So the factor number one is profit target. The profit target is 8% in phase 1 in case of funding pips, 8% in phase 1 and 5% in phase 2. And in FundedNext as well, Stealer model two-step challenge, it is 8% in phase 1 and 5% in phase 2. The daily drawdown is 5% in funding pips. It is a balance based drawdown, so it will only be calculated from the balance at the starting of the day, not from the equity. Doesn't matter where your equity is, wherever the balance is, from there it will be calculated 5%. In case of FundedNext as well, it is a balance based daily drawdown which is of 5%. So both are same till now. Now the maximum drawdown is 10% in case of funding pips, and it is fixed and static type of drawdown. It will not trail, it will remain static wherever it was in the initial. And in FundedNext as well, it is a 10% of fixed drawdown. Now in case if you look at the risk to reward expectation, I don't think we have to check we need to check the risk to reward expectation, as all the parameters are same. Anyways, the risk to reward expectation is a figure that will give us an idea, like how tough, or comparative figure that will give us an idea how tough or easy the challenge will be compared to that PropFirm, A or B PropFirm, any PropFirm. Now if you look at here, the risk to reward expectation, the way we are going to calculate is 8 plus 5 is the target that they are expecting, and the maximum drawdown they are giving is 10%. So if you look at the risk to reward expectation, it is coming around 1:1.3. And in FundedNext as well, it will obviously come as same because the target and the drawdown is same. So the challenge with the perspective of drawdown and the target that they are expecting, if you look at that, the challenge is same in both the PropFirm. Now the leverage that if you look at, then the leverage is 1:100 in both the PropFirms. The broker is in funding pips, Blackbull market is the broker, and in FundedNext the broker is Incenteco or GrowthNext is the broker available. You can choose any of them. And the commission in the funding pips is $3 per lot, and in FundedNext as well, the commission is $3 per lot. The trading platform is MT4 and MT5 will be available in both the PropFirm. The profit split is up to 90% in funding pips, whereas in FundedNext as well, the profit split is up to 90%. The payout model, that is the frequency of payouts, in funding pips you will get your first payout after the 5 days of your funded stage, and from every 5 days you can make one payout request. Whereas in FundedNext, the first payout will be 28 days after the 28 days of your funded stage, and post that you will receive the payout on a bi-weekly basis. Now the evolution profit split, challenge profit split. In case of Funding Pips, they don't give any profit split from the challenge phase, whereas in FundedNext, they give as a bonus, they give 15% profit share from the challenge itself. So you receive a 15% profit share from the challenge itself in case of FundedNext. Now the minimum days is in Funding Pips, it is 0, whereas in FundedNext it is 5 days of minimum trading days you have to have in order to pass from one challenge to another challenge. Now inactivity rule, that is you have to put at least one trade. In case of Funding Pips, 30 days you have to put at least one trade in that 30 days, otherwise they will suspend your account. And in case of FundedNext, you have to put at least one trade over in 35 days. In between 35 days you have to put at least one trade, otherwise they will suspend your account. Next is IP address rule. So you have to use in both the prop firms, you have to use a unique device with a unique IP address. You cannot change the IP address. So like in case if you want to change, you have to inform them beforehand. If you are traveling somewhere, or if you're changing your device or something, then you have to inform them beforehand. You have to show the single IP address. So that is the rule in both the prop firms. Next is stop loss rule. In stop loss rule, Funding Pips, in case of Funding Pips, the stop loss is mandatory, whereas in FundedNext, the stop loss is not mandatory. You can trade the way you want. Next is news trading. News trading, in case of Funding Pips, it is not allowed. You cannot trade before and after 2 minutes of the high impact news. You cannot take any trades in that window. In case if you take the trades, it's not a hard bridge. They are not going to suspend your account. You are not going to lose your account, but they are going to close that trade. They are not going to calculate the profit towards your target, this profit. So they are going to remove this profit. So you basically just understand this. The news trading is not allowed here. However, it is considered as a soft bridge in case of Funding Pips. Whereas in FundedNext, the news trading is allowed here. Now next is refund policy. The refund thing, the fees that you are paying for the challenge. In case of Funding Pips, you receive your refund with your 4th payout. Whereas in FundedNext, you receive your refund in your first payout itself, provided you have made a 5% of profit in that first payout. You have made a request of 5% at least. Next is scaling plan. Now if you look at the scaling plan of the Funding Pips, so for example, you have made a 4 payouts in funded account, then they will increase 10% in your initial balance. In the first month, if you have made 4 payouts, if you have requested 4 payouts, then they will increase 10%. And in second month, 8 payouts, including your first payout. First month, that is 4 plus 4, that is 8 payouts. Then they will increase your capital by 15% on that initial balance. And in third month, they are going to, like in case if you have requested for 12 payouts, then they are going to increase your capital size by 20% on your initial balance. And in fourth month, provided 16 payouts you have taken till that time, then they are going to give you a hot seat in their firm, and with a profit split of 90% and capital of up to $2 million. And with they will also provide a tailored personal conditions. So in order to request for the scaling up, you must have achieved at least 8% profit in your previous month. That's the trap here. So like making 8% and receiving 4 payouts every single month in order to scale up, so it looks very tough. Anyways, in case if you are a person who wants to scale up the account, then this prop firm have a very tough scaling rules. Instead, you can look for other prop firms. Now if we look at the FundedNext, the scaling plan of FundedNext is, say for example, you have to achieve at least 10% in 4 consecutive months, 10% only in 4 consecutive months, and receive at least 2 payouts in those 4 months, and the last trading cycle should end in profit, then they are going to increase your capital size by 40% up to a maximum capital of $4 million. So that's how they are going to increase. Every time you hit a 10% along the span of 4 months and you have received at least 2 payouts, then they are going to increase your capital size by 40%. And last but not least, the account prices, the account fees, the investment that you are going to do. Say for example, you are getting a 100k account in Funding Pips, then you will need to pay $399, whereas in FundedNext you will need to pay $519. So in case of fees, like it is, Funding Pips is very much better compared to FundedNext. However, you should look at the other conditions as well. And in case if you want a discount, I'll leave the link and the discount coupons in the description. Alright traders, this is it for the comparison between the Funding Pips and the FundedNext. Do let me know in the comment section which prop firm you like more, you like better, if you think it's better. Jamtson FX closing the comparison between the Funding Pips and FundedNext. Thank you so much.